Had just a really light breakfast to start the day off and a nice little walk down by the water. Beautiful, beautiful morning here in upstate of South Carolina. Get a little bit hungry now though, so might be time for a little snack. See what we got. It's lunchtime, so we decided instead of a snack, we're just gonna make some lunch. Leftover potatoes and a bison burger. Sounds good to me. You too, buddy? Sound good to you? Sit in front of the fireplace with your little squirrel. Watch for stumps.
Got it.
Because I just tripped over one.
I wonder how fast he would make it to the end of the trail if you just let him go.
5 seconds.
I would love to see it.
Decided to make some snacks this evening. Some blueberry muffins. We don't have any measuring cups, so 16 teaspoons of oil.
Don't lose count. 3.
4. Now, you need 32 teaspoons of water.
And we have to make it in a cake pan.
And we're making it in a cake pan.
Mixing it in a cake pan.
Yeah, this is no big deal.
No biggie.
All right, here you go. 1.
This works fabulous. Oh, we need 2 eggs.
Smells good.
It does smell good. Okay, technically, yes, we should have done the eggs first, but as you can see, this isn't a typical way to make this. We're learning as we go what we need in the camper. Number 1, mixing bowl. Number 2, measuring spoons. Number 3, measuring cups. I feel like the blueberries used to be bigger.
About 11 to 14 minutes, we should have some fresh blueberry muffins. But I think it's dinner time also. So what are we having for dinner, darling?
I don't know what they are. There's probably a name for them, but I call them foldovers.
We've had them before on the channel. Probably one of our first outings in this camper. So if you're interested in cast iron quesadillas, check out that video. Probably we don't need to film the whole thing this time.
Well, I don't technically know if there's a word for them, but I just put cheese, like a pepper cheese, cheddar cheese, and then I take black beans and put them in taco seasoning mix and let it thicken and put them all together and fold it over, and I call them foldovers. I typically do them in the air fryer, but today we're doing it stovetop and in the oven because we need more pans or a bigger pan.
Perfectly done foldovers. Simple and delicious, but like molten lava on the inside. So, something to watch out for. I feel it's burning my fingers. Whew.
I hope those muffins turn out.
I think they will.
Ready for round 2.
Really haven't gotten to see the truck with the pod lights on in an area where there's no light pollution. This thing with the rock lights on looks pretty sweet. It's very bright. Look pretty good. We'll get some inside the truck look. Okay, headlights only, regular, not high beams. It doesn't show up great on camera. It makes a big difference though.
Why don't you go outside and I'll flip it?
You'll hit it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's way brighter in person. I hope it shows up actually on the camera, but it's lighting up all the trees. We got a little bit better sleep last night, which is a good thing. First couple of nights traveling with dogs is always a little bit tougher. It takes them a little bit longer to get used to the settings and the surroundings and the schedule, really. We haven't been camping with dogs all that long, but we've learned a couple of things over the last several months, over the last 6 months or so. A few tips and tricks, if you will, about camping with dogs. I'll make a quick little rundown for you here. Well, another nice long weekend in the woods with Jessica and the dogs. What I was trying to do there while walking Big Dog this morning was to go over some tips and tricks for traveling with dogs. But something was going on with the mic, so I'm going to try it here. We've implemented a couple of best practices over the year, but just recently, over the last 6 months or so, is when we really actually started traveling a lot with the dogs. Our little dog's 11 years old and our big dog is 8 years old. So we've done some things over the years, but we really haven't traveled all that much with them. But now that we've reached this next stage, this next adventure in our life, we're bringing them along on a lot more adventures. Also, in the comments below, leave some of your tips and tricks in traveling with dogs too, because we're always trying to implement best practices. But there are a few, probably 4 or 5 things that we always do or make sure to have with us in traveling with these boys. So the first thing that I would recommend is CBD chews. We get these from Hollywood Feed. I'm sure you can order them from Hollywood Feed if you don't have one local to you, but you could probably find this particular product or something very similar in a pet store near you. These are hip and joint relief specific chews. You know, our big dog's 6. He's 8 years old, so he's already getting up there in age in terms of a big dog, right? And he's also a Rottweiler mix, so he's prone to hip and joint issues. And he's starting to show some signs, actually, of sore or uncomfortable hips or knees, particularly after playing for a little bit or laying on a hard floor for an extended period of time, for example. So these are something that we always have on hand at home, too, and we can give him 1 or 2 of these from time to time. And it really helps to sort of relax him a little bit and kind of relax that discomfort a little bit. But they're also calming in nature. So they're great for pets while traveling that maybe suffer from a little bit of anxiety, like our little dog. So we'll give the big dog 1, we'll give the little dog a half of 1 or a quarter of 1, just like kind of a little bit of a corner, about an hour before we load them up into the truck. And by then it starts to kick in and relax them a little bit, and they'll travel a little bit more calmly. And if you have pets and dogs of your own, I'm sure you know that they're a lot like little kids. So if you're doing something new, you're going on an adventure, you're going into a new place, or they haven't been in the camper for a couple of weeks and all of a sudden they're there, they get kind of hyper and rowdy and riled up, right? They're just like children. So these CBD chews kind of help everybody relax a little bit, and that's something that we really look out for with the big dog in particular, just knowing that he has some soreness in his hips. It prevents him from kind of jumping around or, doing something a little bit rambunctious that might kind of flare those hips up. So highly, highly recommend them for big dogs, dogs with joint issues, and little dogs, or any dog for that matter, that might suffer from anxiety or, have a little bit of a stress, a period of stress while traveling. Something you should certainly always think about, and really it should be common sense, and it probably goes without saying, but make sure you have plenty of water. We don't drink water out of the spigot or the faucet while we're camping, so we don't expect our dogs to either, really. So we just buy gallon jugs or a couple gallon jugs of water from the store. Again, if your dogs kind of get a little bit hyper or rowdy, rambunctious, they're going to develop a thirst and they're going to need water. But water is just good for them anyway. So just if you're traveling with dogs, make sure you have a lot of water. Something else we recommend is having special meals for your pets while you're traveling. Now, Jessica likes to make the food for the dogs. We don't like to feed them highly processed foods. It's been really difficult to find something that we really like and trust over the years. We've come across a couple of good things, but our little dog has some allergy problems and he can like flip on a dime. He could be eating the same food for a given period of time, and then all of a sudden he starts to have a little bit of a reaction to it, and we gotta switch it up. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. So oftentimes we'll do a mix of like a dried food with some homemade food for them. But when we travel, again, we take some of that dried food with, but we always like to kind of share. If I'm grilling a steak, I make some unseasoned steak for them, or I make some unseasoned ground beef. It just really kind of ensures that they're getting a nice, healthy meal and they're enjoying themselves while traveling as well. Another tip that I have is to bring foot protection with you. Now, this is something we do all the time because actually it helps keep your floors in your house clean. And it's very, very simple. They're relatively inexpensive, and they're just these kind of rubber booties. They're just these guys here. They come in maybe a 10-pack or 8-pack, something like that. Again, they work great for keeping your floors clean, especially if you're camping, you're out in the woods, and you walk your dogs. You don't want to track all that stuff into the camper, so you can just slip these on before the walk, pull them off afterwards, and they're really not that hard. Once you kind of get in the groove of putting them on the dog's feet, they're fine, and they get used to it. Our big dog just kind of expects it. He even lifts his paws up for us to do it and to take them off. But they're great for providing foot protection as well. You know, it gives just a little bit of separation between the dog's feet and the ground, especially if it's hot in the summertime and you're walking on trails or you're walking on paved paths. It's great for preventing burns on the feet, and it keeps feet from getting wet in the rain and things like that. People have even kind of chuckled at the dogs as we walk by while they're wearing them, but I mean, they don't know what they're missing out on. And the final, probably most important tip that I can give for traveling with dogs is to establish a schedule right away, or try to get them on a schedule that's going to work for you as quickly as possible. What we have found, especially over the last 6 months in traveling with the camper, is it takes a little bit of time to get them kind of in the groove, especially the big dog. He just can't seem to relax or get on a potty schedule that he's used to at home. So he doesn't really sleep throughout the night, and he likes to wake up in the middle of the night, which is very frustrating, especially if it's like 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of January. Nobody wants to get out of bed and go for a walk in the freezing cold. So what we try to do with the boys is stay up late that first night. Try to make it as late as we possibly can to take him on a walk as late as we possibly can. And that way we make sure they get completely pottied, and it's, you know, as late as possible, and try to kind of limit the water or snack intake in those late hours as well. So when they go for a walk, they get tired out, they breathe that fresh air, and, you know, like I said, get pottied. Then they can come back into the camper and go to bed, and hopefully then they'll make it throughout the night. This particular trip, we just couldn't do it. You know, getting ready in the pouring rain, we were frozen, we were exhausted. We had both worked before taking off for this little trip, and so we tried to make it late and take them for a walk late, but it was only like probably 9:30, and it just wasn't quite late enough. And the big dog just, you know, he wasn't used to his surroundings yet. He got up a couple of times in the middle of the night. The second night he did a lot better. The third night, it was totally fine. He was back on his regular schedule, and we didn't have any issues throughout the night. So it always takes a little bit of time, but that is something I recommend highly, is stay up late, go for a late walk, and you'll be able to make it through the night. I don't know if this is the 5th or 6th tip, but another thing, and probably the last thing that I would recommend, is to make the environment as friendly and as homey as possible. Again, it's all about making the dogs comfortable, and we want them to be relaxed and enjoy themselves as well. So bring something familiar from home, like a blanket or a toy or something. And actually, in our case, we keep toys at the camper for them, so it's almost like a surprise for them when they walk in the door and they find their little stuffed animal or their little blanket that they remember from the last trip. It's kind of exciting. It's like a Christmas morning for a little kid. It's like they forgot they even had it, and they love it, and they're happy to be there, and they're relaxed. But still, we bring a blanket with them, or we bring a little one of their mats with them, and it just kind of feels like home. They're in a new place. Even though we've gone in the camper several times, it's a new place. It kind of gets them riled up. They want to be comfortable and relaxed. So having something that smells of home, reminds them of home, helps them, I think, kind of get into things a little bit quicker. Like I said, I know a couple of those sound like common sense or self-explanatory, but if you're looking for a few important tips and tricks, those are some of the best ones that I got up to this point. But again, please leave your tips and tricks for traveling with dogs down in the comments below. We appreciate any input or insight that we can get, because we want to make sure our boys are comfortable every time we travel. If you got some better ideas or some additional ideas, please let us know. Thanks for watching this one, guys. We got more to come for the channel, more stuff coming up this winter, spring, and in the summer. We got some exciting stuff on the horizon, so hopefully stick around. Subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate it. See you on the next adventure.